Hey Drew, did you hear they removed the Cloud special in Splatoon 2?
Yeah, no, it's really weird. And you can't use Rain Dance in Pokemon Let's Go either.
And it's always sunny in Dark Souls now. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's like those games aren't compatible with the cloud. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Mario, episode 61, and we are the Nintendo Podcast, a part of the 8-Bit Collective. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and joining me, as always, is my best buddy, Bryce DeWitt.
So how's that mouthful coming out of your mouth every week?
How's that mouthful coming out of my mouth?
Yeah, like, I just don't know how you can contain so many words and not take a breath.
I don't know. You've got to practice these things, Bryce. I go for a run, and after that, I jump into some water and I hold my breath underneath the water, and sort of that's how you
do chin ups every day to keep your chest.
It's all about the cardio, Bryce. It's all about the cardio, mate.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. All right, I believe you.
No, that's good. This week on the show, we're talking about a few games we've been playing. The crisis in Japan with the earthquakes and all that, and a bit about Nintendo's online service. A bit of information is leaked from the future Nintendo Direct, as well as some quotes from Nintendo themselves.
Might be a bit of a debate there.
There will be.
All right.
You're on.
Okay.
Very serious debate. Yes.
Yeah, very serious. Yep. All right, 100%. When you get to that portion of the show, just abandon all hope.
I tell you what, if one of us doesn't walk out of here without a blood nose,
success.
Success. It's gonna get heated.
All right.
Yep. Oh, probably not actually.
No, not really.
We've been very sarcastic.
Yep.
So Bryce, we'll jump into what you've been playing. What have you been playing, mate?
Okay. Well, not much over the past week or so, but like if I had to pick things that I did touch, it was For Honor, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yes.
So my first foray into For Honor, it was free the other week on Steam for a very short, limited amount of time, so I picked it up and I started playing that. Fun game. It's a bit of a learning curve. It's very much about like countering enemies' moves and taking them out and making sure that you're keeping your bases checked and all that stuff, and that's nice and fun. So I touched on that on a bit this week, but my main focus has been Xenoblade at the moment. Chronicles 2 had an update a couple weeks back. Whether you're in the loop with that or not, or whether you care, is the other question. Where they added in a bunch more skins, which this time around was a swimsuit set for.
No, I did say that.
Just about every main character. They put in a really weak excuse for it as just banter. They're like, swimsuits protect you from poison. Okay,
that is the biggest load of shit. I would have just preferred they would have said, we want the characters to look cute, so we put them in swimsuits.
Look, the dialogue was funny enough. But have you seen Tora's the Noppon's swimsuit?
I would have, but I can't.
It's the best thing ever. It's just a t-shirt. It's the item is literally called best girl fan Tora, and it's literally just Tora in like a t-shirt that's way too small for him with a picture of Pyra's face on it.
Oh wow.
It's great. So yeah, I've been through doing challenge mode stuff, picking that up. Elmer and Corvin also came out as Blades that week. Haven't gone to touch Corvin yet.
So was this part of the season pass, or was this free DLC?
Actually, I think Elmer might have been free distribution.
Yeah,
maybe. I'm not. Well, no, actually, no, she wouldn't be because it's challenge mode. I'm an idiot. So challenge mode is DLC exclusive. There's a lot to love in it, which is awesome because if you're playing the game and you want some extra stuff to do, it's good. Elmer is a character from Xenoblade Chronicles X, which was introduced as a blade, and is the reason I've sort of gone back and decided, hey, I'm going to go finish X because I should stop putting it off and doing it. Her fight in 2 is really hard. It's really difficult. So she goes the same way that she did with Shulk and Fiora, in that once you've unlocked them in challenge mode, you can use them in challenge mode until but you can't take them out until you defeat a certain quest. And with Elma, you had to beat a very a relatively easy fight with her. But then when you had her, you had to beat her harder fight against her with her in your party.
Oh, okay.
And it was very difficult in general to just sort of get that done. But Elma's really fun, and she introduces a mechanic that was basically what Xenoblade Chronicles X's version of chain attack was, which is called overdrive, and it's basically just you do a ton of damage and, smack an enemy to death. So, I've yet to play much around with her. I really got around to picking up Corvin as well, because apparently Corvin's a really good blade. So, yeah, there's that. X I picked up because I was like, you know what? Elma's in 2, and it makes me want to play X again.
You had to plug the Wii U back in for that as well.
Had to plug the Wii U back in for that, and X is still a fucking phenomenal game. It gets criticized for having a pretty weak story, but and I've said it before, Xenoblade games really pushed the consoles to their limits. Not so much 2. 2 I feel like didn't.
It's a bit safer.
It is a bit safer. Understandably so, because unfortunately, there's a lot of things in that game that can draw the frames back a bit. Doesn't make it any lesser of a game. I still think 2's a bloody incredible game, but X and Xenoblade Chronicles 1 were the absolute pinnacle of testing out that power limit while also holding a pretty decent frame rate for the Wii and the Wii U. So just jumping back into Xenoblade Chronicles, even if X I should say, even if it's just to jump around the world and see some big ass badass monsters and try to not get hit by them, it's always a fun experience jumping back into it. It's just the Wii U holds me back from finishing it because it's the Wii U. It makes, that's why I'm really hoping for a Switch port. It really makes everything a little bit convoluted with the gamepad and everything, and it'd just be nice if they just streamlined it, to be honest. And
all the dust on the gamepad, you'll be sneezing the whole time.
Well, the thing is, it's you have to have a gamepad to play the game. You can play it without it, but then you can't fast travel, or you can't manage your nodes for your resources or anything like that. You can't do anything
you
like
can't
that
even
without
fast travel.
it. No.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's really irritating, which is why I'm hoping for a port, because I know a port will address that. They'll move menus around and make it so that, because there's really no reason for, out of convenience, the same way Zelda is, there is absolutely no reason to have that on a completely separate screen.
No. There will be a port of it eventually. I feel like every Wii U game will be ported to it eventually.
Well, I hope so. I'm kind of hoping to see the whole collection on there, if you want to be honest. It'd be really nice if it was just here's the 3-pack.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Like they did with Metroid Trilogy. And leading up to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, whenever that may be, and whether it's coming out on Switch, it'd be nice to have something like that.
It will be a couple of years away.
Well, yeah. I feel like Xenoblade Chronicles has only grown in popularity as games have sort of pushed upwards. So, and a lot of people, even if they didn't like it, they did buy Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and they were like, hey, yeah, sort of thing. So, yeah. So that's my goal at the moment. Don't mind the ghosts if you hear the creaking. He's always in here. Chantel seems to think it's a dog.
My girlfriend came in here the other day. She said, I think we got a ghost. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, I think it's a ghost dog.
A ghost dog? Yippee yap.
All right. So why do you think there's a ghost dog? Well, it's the door was being pushed. It's not like a proper door. It's only like a, what do you call it?
It's like a sliding door. It's like
a sort of a real thin sliding door. And she went to open the sliding door, and there's all this. She said a whoosh of air went past her knees.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
The only logical explanation is that we've got a ghost dog. Oh, really? I don't know what else to think. Really?
Look, it could be. It could very well be. You never know.
It could be.
I'm not going to argue the point.
I'd much rather a ghost dog than a ghost human. A ghost human would scare the crap out of me. Turns out my house used to be like an old barnyard, and it's got ghost dogs, ghost cats,
ghost chickens. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's pretty much the extent of what I've done. Really, my next couple up until next week, because next week Friday is when Torna and the Golden Country comes out for Xenoblade.
Oh, next week is it?
It's next week.
Oh wow.
Yep, and I really can't wait for it. So till then, I'm just going to be doing what I've been doing, like playing games on my PC, and probably now just sort of intervaling X into it and playing X.
Yep,
and just see how I go from there.
Get through that huge game.
Oh, it's like it's a massive game in terms of like space and everything, and doing your resource stuff, and like to push through the story, you really got to search out all the areas and make use of all your nodes and all that stuff, and that's good. But you know, it is a little bit time consuming, and too much time on that Wii U reminds me of how much I'm
the dark days. The dark days, yeah, the
dark days. So. You know, I'll push through it, and I'll hope for a port. And when the port comes out, you know, I'll probably play that to death on there as well, because I think, you know, it's Wild as something to rival Breath of the Wild. It's really something incredible. So I've got to give it that much. It definitely showed up anybody that thought the Wii U couldn't handle something of that caliber, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Anyway, what about you?
I've been Friday. I played a bit of Spider-Man. This isn't the place to discuss it, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like you're allowed to talk about it. I will give you a pass.
Give me a pass.
Yep.
I'll give a shout out to the Explosion Network's PlayStation podcast. If you want a place to hear about Spider-Man, I assume they're going to do an episode this week all about Spider-Man.
Yeah, all about it.
Yeah, Dylan Blight, who's been on the show before, so go and check out Explosion Network.
Dash Culture this week also had a review up.
Yes, they did too. Yeah,
because Dash has been playing it. So.
Yeah, he was playing it previous too. So.
Yeah, he had a review copy. So he's got a non-spoilerish review if you just want a general opinion.
Yeah.
Sounds like he really enjoyed the game. I think he said he's thinking about doing his third playthrough of the game.
Yeah,
which is pretty nuts. Good on you, Dash.
Yeah. So Platinum Explosion, Dash Culture. For the players by the pop culturists. Lots of people playing it this week. And also, the game I've been playing probably the most this week was Dead Cells. A while back, I reached out to the developers to see if I could get a code to sort of cover the game, and they got back to me last week and gave me a code for the PC.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm like, yeah, awesome. So I jumped into it on Steam, and it sucked me in like straight away. Absolutely love it. Because I didn't,
which is saying something for you, because you hardly turn your PC on for anything gaming.
Yeah, true.
Regardless of what it is,
the computer just is used for work. But
yeah.
But yeah, absolutely loved it, because I didn't pick it up when it initially came out because I had that many sort of 2D games to get through as it was. So I'm like, all right, I don't need it.
But I'd like to play it.
But I'd like to play it. So when I got the code, I jumped into it, and I loved it so much. I played it about probably 5 hours that night.
Wow.
And it's addictive. It really is, going for a run each time. So what I did is I said, the night after, I'm like, this is like 100% the game I want to be able to pick up and just play, put down. Yeah. So I actually went and bought a copy on my Switch. Yeah. Like I absolutely love it. It's awesome.
Well, that's good.
It really sucked me in more than I thought it would. Mm-hmm. I'm sure everyone's heard that much of Dead Cells talk by now.
Look, I think that's just writing off it. I think that's what the great thing is about Nintendo tackling indies at the moment too. Yeah. You know, the main platform that was really benefiting from them obviously was probably PC for the longest time, because you know what, not many people give a shit about them on PS4 or Xbox. Not as much as they would on PC anyway. So, you know, having that sort of stuff come over, and you know, you got popular titles like Undertale that have already, you know, solidified themselves as both gaming royalty.
Yeah, both of the other platforms really pushed them. Like Xbox Live, obviously back ages ago with Summer of Arcade and all that.
Yeah, Summer of Arcade was kind of janky though. It was
good back in the day, and PS4 at the very start was really pushing it, and they had a lot of great indie titles. But now, I guess it's Nintendo's turn to sort of push it for a while.
I think Nintendo will probably push it better though.
Yeah, because they really rely on it in between their first party games.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I just feel like they have the third party backing nowadays to put a game in every now and then, you know, along the line, and that sort of fills the gaps. But I feel like the Switch. Well, obviously you do too. The Switch really benefits from indie games, just as its own little community thing.
Yeah,
like you play them on the go. They're not hefty on,
a battery or CPU or anything.
Exactly, yeah. Which means a lot for the Switch, really, because the Switch is such a condensed little console that, as much as I'm sure a lot of people would love to play, something like Breath of the Wild or Xenoblade, it heats up the console like crazy. And,
yeah. Especially like if you get it out of the dock after a while, it's just that hot. You can see why people's Switches are just like imploding.
yeah. You gotta be a little bit moderate sometimes. That's my fear with the Switch getting older, is maybe it'll not be able to take that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's that. I think that's on everybody's minds, and I think by the time that it's even relevantly a matter, we'll probably have a new version of the Switch to pick up anyway, and that'll be our focus. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like with Dead Cells, I found it really like addictive doing the runs. I didn't expect to be that addicted to it. Sort of like you when you first start, it's really hard, even the first area.
Yeah,
and you get further and further. You get back, you spend your money on you spend your Dead Cells, which you collect throughout doing your runs. You come back, you permanently upgrade your stuff. I got to the first boss. It kicked my ass. I went back, beat it a little bit more, went back, beat it a little bit more, and man, the next time I went back, I was so close, and I just like had a brain fart and died. Like I should have beaten it that time. But the next time I went back to that boss, I had like two weapons, which was like one was like a turret, and one was like an arrow turret. So I literally just put those down, and they just whittled the boss without me doing anything. Just from fighting. So like you get different items each time, and yeah, God, it's good.
Yeah,
it's so good. It deserves the reviews it got.
Did you ever play Rogue Legacy at all?
I did a bit. Didn't really suck me in as much.
No. It's the same similar concept.
Yeah.
I just feel like the thing with Dead Cells is Dead Cells has got like this thematic that really fits it.
Yeah, and you've actually got progression in Dead Cells as well. That's what's really good about it. You
have lineage progression in Rogue Legacy, but it's not as well thought out.
No, you're not really upgrading your stats to make it better for the next run, though, or anything like that.
No, you're passing it on to your lineage, and they generally have better stats. And you have past you can go, but I just feel like with Dead Cells, just looking at it from the perspective of like I've played Rogue Legacy, but I haven't played Dead Cells yet. I just feel like it's like a cleaner system that's a little more user-friendly and less confusing, if that makes sense. Rogue Legacy was also a fantastic game, and people got the same sort of jib out of it. It's a roguelike game that you just keep going until your character's knocked down, and you pick up with your next generation of knight and push forward, and it's the same sort of deal. It's just presented in a way that just appeals a lot more. I think it's just cleaner in general, and the theme's nice. Yeah,
the combat's like just so good as well. It's as good as it looks. Yeah,
which helps it a lot.
Just the dodging and the combat and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. See, in Rogue Legacy, you didn't have anything as complicated as dodging. You just had to. It was like Mega Man. Like you have to time your stuff well, and you have to watch where you walk. Otherwise, you're going to take damage you don't really need to take.
Yeah.
There's no real option to just do a nice little dodge roll or a dash out the way or anything like that. So I like it. Certainly looks interesting, and I do want to play it.
Actually, speaking of Mega Man, I played the Mega Man 11 demo too. I forgot.
Yeah, you did that too. Yeah,
that was really good. It sort of surprised me how like Mega Man it felt like. Obviously, Mega Man 11 it's going to feel like Mega Man, but it really does feel like the originals, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's really cool. And when I was because most of my Mega Man playing experience, like I played the games a decent amount, but I probably played more Mega Man in Smash Bros than actual Mega Man.
Yeah.
And you know how you do the down tilt to do the slide?
Mm-hmm.
Like it felt like jumping felt like it does in Smash Bros, and down A feels like sort of the down tilt in Smash Bros too.
Yeah. Well, I
That's
mean,
what it felt a bit like to me. Anyway.
they that's the thing is like the Smash iteration of Mega Man is so well made that it actually feels like you're playing Mega Man as a character.
Yeah.
So credits to that. The difference is obviously that in Smash they assign all of your abilities to different directional presses rather than just like you change your gun from the menu and keep going on.
The only thing I didn't like in the demo, I think the demo you just have access to the one level, but there was a section where you've got to like there's a thing chasing you and you've got to go through like a rock path. Like there's a rock and you've got to like jump through certain sections and you've got to be very precise of where you jump, otherwise you just sort of hit your shoulder on like the corner.
Oh, okay, right.
And it was just sometimes it was just infuriating, just sort of lining it up.
Yeah,
like you got no time. You can't go. Oh, okay, now I'm going. It's like you've got to do it straight away. Otherwise, if there's like a certain frame or little clip of your shoulder, he won't go.
No, it's a pain.
It was really frustrating. So hopefully that's something that isn't in the full game. But
yeah, well, I think that'll probably be cleared up. I know that there was a bunch of problems that come out of the game that people weren't too happy about. So but that's what a demo's for, right?
Yeah, the game comes out next month sometime, so they don't have a shitload of time to...
No, they don't, but, if it's something small that it can be fixed, or something that's a little quality of life, like something like that, then, I'm sure they'll be able to do something about it.
It's like if you're jumping through, like, between two blocks in Mario, you sort of just, like, slide past it and you'll go up.
Yeah.
Whereas you won't just go, oh.
Yeah.
Like, I guess you're playing that much Mario when you sort of... You just can't... It's just so frustrating. It frustrated me. Like, I died, like, 3 times in a row just from that one thing. I'm like, God damn it. Just couldn't do... And other times it just does it easy. So, I don't know. I'm just going to put it down to my negligence. But, yeah.
Otherwise, your overall rating?
Good.
Good?
Yeah,
okay.
good. Yeah.
All right, well.
Music was really good too.
Yeah, that's good then.
It's a Mega Man game.
Well, yeah. You'd want it to be good music if it was a Mega Man game. Unacceptable otherwise, right?
Unacceptable! Yep.
Unacceptable!
Alright, so let's move on to sort of the happenings in Japan. Bryce, you've got this on your phone, don't you?
Well, okay. Not particularly. But what happened this week, because the thing that happened prior to this was a typhoon. Can't remember the name of it now. It's a very simple name. That's unfortunate. But a typhoon had hit like sort of a city in mainland Japan, and that was enough damage as it was. It blew off the big end off the Nintendo building, and that was a little less disastrous than what sort of come like later on this week, and that was a massive earthquake in Hokkaido in Japan. For those of you that don't know, Super Mario Party is actually being developed there at the moment. So
yes, I didn't know that before.
Yeah. So that was a bit of an issue. No real news from Nintendo on that situation yet, whether they were affected or anything. I would assume not. Otherwise, we probably would have heard something, a little bit of something by now.
Well, I mean, Kyoto's a long way away from the island, but
it is, yes, but and they got to keep in contact.
Yeah.
It hit the typhoon hit mainland Japan, and Hokkaido is like the small island above, where obviously the mainland is.
Yeah.
And it delayed the direct, as most of us know. Like, and I think I speak for most of us in saying that that's completely fair. That's 2 natural disasters in a week. It just devastated the country for the most part, and it's a whole massive mess, and it's going to take a long, long time to recover.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't remember where I'd read it, but somebody said that their travel guide while they were in Japan said within the next 30 years they were expecting an earthquake. So yeah,
so there it is.
Yeah. So obviously they knew it was coming, but you can't predict an earthquake. It doesn't.
Yeah,
they just happen. Like that's what happens with tectonic plates. They sort of they slip and something happens.
Japan gets them all the time, but this one was a particularly big one.
Yeah,
6.6 magnitude, which is
6.6. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
which is not fun.
No.
Imagine. I've never been anywhere that even has earthquakes. Oh, I've been to New Zealand.
We had a minor earthquake here a couple of years ago.
Did we?
Yeah, we actually did. But
was it like 0.1?
No,
or something?
it was like a It was like a 2 magnitude or something. It was really small. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
never
you only
knew
felt
about it. I didn't even know about it, let alone.
you only felt it for about 30 seconds, and you were probably asleep. It was in the middle of the night. So and I mean, I wasn't present for that either. I was over in Tasmania.
That was back then. Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite a while ago. So condolences out to Japan, because it's just absolutely it's absolutely shocking. But I think what's worse, and this is where I get a little bit upset with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of like normal minded people would be like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" When you read it. Yeah,
for sure. Obviously, this is crazy. This has happened, and like the tsunami that happened a couple of years back, they had a nuclear crisis and everything, and this could have set off another one. It was close enough to that sort of situation, and that's awful. That could have cost like many people their lives. But what angers me most out of the situation is the absolute gall of some people towards Nintendo in their decision to delay the Direct, because obviously this is going to hurt their marketing a little bit, but this is a respect thing in Japan.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. It's respect, and also think about it from Nintendo's perspective. Like they've got like team members working on the games, working on the marketing, working on like the whole company. They've probably got family around there,
exactly,
and they can't get in contact with them. The last thing they want to be is like talking about their game, which I'm sure they're very excited to share with people and give people more information. But could you like in their position, a lot of people's position there, they couldn't care about anything else at that moment.
No,
except for their family and making sure they're okay.
And that's exactly right. And you wouldn't expect to be any different in the situation that we're in or anything like that. And
even if Nintendo America was like, all right, no, we're not Japan, we'll still air it. It's like, no. It's like, just out of respect. These games are made in Japan.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And look, here's the thing that comes down to it. And like, I'm not even going to acknowledge the people who had said it. I'm not gonna name them or anything, and I'm not gonna quote them to the T, because honestly, it's just awful. But there were a bunch of very entitled people who deemed it that they thought it was okay for them to be angry about them delaying the Direct. And a lot of their argument was stuff about, obviously America's not connected to Japan. They could just air it and Japan could get it later.
Like, what a thing to say.
Like, it's so stupid, but they're just like, oh, they can air it and then whatever, or hope it's not, it better not be too far away, not impressed.
Yeah, like we saw one...
Give me free games.
Yeah, that one instance of one person saying we should get a free game. It's like, why should you get a free game?
Yeah, why should you get a free game? What have you done to earn it?
Wait, it's like you're inconvenienced because your Nintendo Direct didn't happen that day. What about the inconvenience of the earthquake
that destroyed many homes, killed people, and injured people? Oh, it's just awful. Like, just the absolute attitude of some people online.
It's a shame too, because it broke, and I was on Twitter at the time, and I was one of the first people to say, like, well, not the first person to say, but I commented straight away saying, I hope everyone's all right and whatever. And I saw everyone saying the same thing at the time. I'm like, oh, it's so nice to see everyone just coming together and supporting people in a natural disaster, and just Nintendo community really sort of acknowledging the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But then, like, an hour later, I think, I don't know, it must have been a time zone of kids, or
it's just
silly people woke up or something. I don't know what it was, but then it just started pouring out the negative responses, and
it just absolutely kills me. Like, I don't get it. Like, if they're like, well, this is Japan's problem. I'm like, well, if you say it like that, okay. I mean, I guess I understand what you're trying to say, but at the same time, like, it is a natural disaster. Even if you were thinking from that perspective that, hey, it's not my problem, why should it affect me? Even if you're thinking from that perspective, you have to consider that, like, all the people that in Japan that would be missing out on this stuff, or the people at the company that are obviously working there not being able to contact with their families, which you've touched upon. But even if it's just for the sake of spirit of being a Nintendo fan, all these people won't have access to the internet for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know, half the country's power's out. It's, you know, they're not going to be able to get this news in their own eye and to their own eyeballs for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just even the people who weren't affected but just have no power. Like, just think about those Nintendo fans
Exactly.
over there who just want to know what the new Smash character is or whatever it may be. Yeah,
they want to know. They want to know the same sort of amount of news that you did, and like what you're basically saying. What you're basically saying by doing this is, well, you know, if I had an earthquake, I wouldn't expect to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect to be treated any differently. But you would be very pissed. You'd be very pissed if you missed out on that, like, minute-to-minute news.
Yeah, and I've read people who said they live there and they're very thankful that it was delayed because it's just a nice sign that someone cares.
Exactly.
If nothing else, just like Nintendo acknowledged it, they said no, delayed it.
Look, I would be over there in a heartbeat if there was a way that I could just go over there and just help with some sort of reconstruction effort, because the shit that happened is just some of the pictures. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
Like, it's shocking. It's so bad. It's awful. That's 2 natural disasters in a week. Like, I don't know how people can be angry about that at all or expect compensation for something like that. It's just
Yeah, I love the compensation bit. Like, it's like, all right. So what do they hope for? It's like, hey guys, Nintendo Direct's been re-announced, and
you'll get a free copy of Super Mario Party.
Yeah, you get a free copy of Super Mario Party because we delayed the Direct because there was just a pain in the ass natural disaster. We're so sorry. It's our fault. It's our fault. Oh well.
And I mean, there's fans like this with you know any gaming company in the world that just act that entitled, and it's bullshit. It really is bullshit, and it's unfair. But it's for something. You know what? I would not be too fussed if they were complaining over something like, I don't know, downtime in a game. They can't access the game because they're just like, we pay our subscription, and if you're going to keep the game down for longer, we want an extra day or something like that back on our subscription.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something like that. That I understand. If you're going to be angry about that, you know what, that's fine. That's fine. But a natural disaster. 2 natural disasters. Come on, how entitled can you be?
You're not paying for the Nintendo Direct, and
you're not paying for Nintendo Direct. They do that for free.
At the end of it's just their marketing, so don't get too fucking worked up about it.
That's the thing is, like, they've still done this, and I've said it before, obviously, but they've done this, but the only people it's really going to affect is them, and that's going to be like loss of revenue because stuff's still got to come out on time. You know. We've actually had a couple announcements since then, like Final Fantasy Pocket Edition, the Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition. That's coming to Switch and whatever. From what most people would expect, that was probably going to be in the Direct. You know, you had the Yoshi's Crafted World leak thing that came out. If that is legitimate,
it wasn't a leak. It was on Nintendo's website for a bit.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know that was probably in the Direct as well.
Yeah. Well, it will be because it's one of those games where like, oh, it's not an E3. It's going to be at a Direct later. So that Direct is now.
Yeah. So it's just. That stuff, they're all supposed to be out there and marketing and advertising and all that stuff to keep their stock hold up, but you know what? They took the noble dip, they let people recover, do their thing, and then they'll do the Direct later. There's absolutely no point in riling up a fuss and expecting compensation over something that's just so tragic and awful. And my heart goes out in thinking that, like, a lot of the Nintendo community has been so supportive and like respectful of their decision, but then there's just them couple little shitbags that they just think that they are owed the world, and they think they can make a quick game out of it for free because they complain on Twitter. Like,
yeah, well, the world is just full of people like that, isn't it? Yeah,
it's just awful. It's shocking. And look, guys, you know. Send out your thoughts to Japan and just be like, you know, respect the fact that it's a serious issue. Don't be them people. That's all I really have to say about that. You know, it's not fair.
you'll have your direct in the next couple of weeks. Anyway.
Exactly.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not, and the online service was supposed to be out at the end of this month. Probably be delayed again now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think.
No, I think it will because they've got no info out about it, and this was supposed to be the direct.
It's meant to be mid September. It's now,
Well,
this weekend it will be mid September.
Well, I mean, now is probably a better time to jump in it than any.
Yeah, so there was a bit of a leak about what was going to be shown at this Nintendo Direct regarding the online service.
Yep.
So Bryce, you got the dot points there.
Okay, so I'm just going to read this little bit of a leakage, whether it's true or not.
It's a grain of salt.
Yep, yeah, grain of salt as always. I'm going to read out a description of what's supposed to be going on with the online service. It was supposed to, and it probably won't now, launch on Friday, September 21 as a 2-week free trial to all users.
Okay, that's cool.
If you wanted to, if you did register your Nintendo Switch within the first, I think it was 2 weeks of launch, you would get an extra week for free.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good to me.
Of early access, which is nice. That's nearly a month. That's nearly a month for free. Now, as for the benefits, subscribers will receive an extra 30% off sale items and 10% off regular priced items on the eShop.
Was that 30% off
sale items?
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Apparently,
an extra.
Yeah, apparently.
So if it's 30% off, it's going to be 60% off.
Apparently.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So again, take that with a grain of salt. Not too sure about that.
Yeah.
Yet.
And like that 10% is going to be huge for people like me who buy all their games on the eShop as well.
Yeah. Now the 10% is a big deal because if you buy a lot of digital games, you pretty much pay for your subscription just by having one.
Yeah.
Pretty
easily. Yeah.
So I can't complain about that too much. You pay $30 a year, you get $30 worth in discounts. You've paid for your online service, and you're about to get the following benefits after it.
Yeah. So if you buy $4 $80 first party Nintendo games digitally, you'll pay back your subscription.
Even less than that. Yeah.
So you'll save $32.
So yeah. So what's even if you don't do that and you just buy a bunch of indie games or whatever, then you're still paying for it, and then you've also got to keep in mind you're still getting your gold coins.
Yeah, I love my gold coins.
You're still getting your gold coins, so you still be saving money. Now there was a couple things also mentioned that are extra benefits, and again, if you're buying games digitally, then you're saving yourself the money anyway. So the first was a new program known as Nindies Together. It says it is a new program that lets Nintendo Switch Online users gain free early access to some of the hottest indie titles currently in development and allow them to give direct feedback straight to the developer, starting with Bullet Age later this month.
So that is super interesting because no other platform apart from Steam offers that.
No, that's correct. Yeah,
like I know Xbox does something similar, but it's not to the degree of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's not all. On top of that, Nindies Together offers 2 free indie games to Nintendo Switch Online users every month to play for the duration of their subscription.
Huh? Really?
The first titles,
I didn't hear that one. That's awesome.
The first titles launching on September 21 will be Crossing Souls and Assault Gunners HD.
No idea what they are, but
not sure.
Yeah.
The other
so you unlock them permanently. That's what it says from the leak.
Hang on, say that again. Sorry, I lost myself.
Like you unlock them like forever as long as you're subscribed.
I think so. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Possibly, yeah. Which I guess that means that Nintendo, gives them a cut.
I hope so.
That's whatever. So that's good. There's also some other quick information that I'll just chuck in there. As for extra benefits, Nintendo Switch Online users will be granted access to several alternate skins in Super Smash Bros. When the game launches, including Dry Bowser, and Cloud's costume from Kingdom Hearts. And Smash will not be the only game subject to Nintendo Switch Online perks. Splatoon 2 will receive special Nintendo Switch Online themed Inkling apparel and 2 new weapons. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be updated with 2 new tracks, Waluigi Pinball and Broken Pier. So, provided that, and like the leak, again, you know what we're like with leaks on this show. We don't particularly trust them, but it's fairly detailed throughout the entire thing. It details the whole direct.
Yeah, so we won't go through the whole.
We won't go
direct
through the
leaks.
whole thing, but I think it's pretty important that we talk about the Switch Online stuff.
Yeah,
especially with the news that's come out, and I'll let you describe that now that I've had my read.
yeah. So I quite like the sound of that. Right. But it's come out recently also that the cloud saves that are a part of this online service won't support every game. So I'll just read out the statement Nintendo released, and I'll kick it to you about what you think, and I'll. What I think. So this is going to be the blood nose section of the podcast because we seem to disagree. I've I'll read it.
Yeah, just read it. Just read it.
Was that the right one? Yes, it was. So Nintendo says the vast majority of Nintendo Switch games will support save data cloud backup. However, in certain games, this feature would make it possible to, for example, regain items that had been traded over to other players, or revert to a higher online multiplayer ranking that had been lost. To ensure fair play, saved data cloud backup may not be enabled for such games. To ensure that save data cloud backups cannot be used to unfairly affect online multiplayer rankings, the feature will not be enabled in Splatoon 2. Sort of. That many times I have to say save data cloud backup.
Cloud backup.
Sort of tripped me off. But there's a few games that won't support it.
Yeah, so there's 3 that's been confirmed.
So there's Splatoon, Pokemon Let's Go, Dead Cells, FIFA 19, and NBA 19.
And Dark Souls.
And Dark Souls won't support it.
Yeah, okay. So, look, for Dead Cells, FIFA, all that, I don't know about them. But the 3 I'll talk about are Splatoon, Pokemon, and Dark Souls. So this was a conversation we also had on the Discord. I sort of touched upon it there, and I'm going to go into more detail about it now. So I'll start with the 2 easier ones, and then I'll go into the heftier one. Hefty. Okay, so Pokemon, I think, is already completely understandable as it is. I think it's pretty obvious how you could scum that out and cheat out of that. I would argue this is why they created Pokemon Bank, and that will probably persist on into the Switch generations of Pokemon games once we have the mainline Pokemon game. Yeah. I feel like any effort you're really going to put into Let's Go is probably going to stay on Let's Go, so there's not really a lot of point in doing that. There's obviously still going to be competitive battling in Let's Go, but I think you'll find that transferring your Pokemon from Let's Go and all that's probably not going to be worth the hassle as it is. I'm only saying this about the Pokebank now because later on down the line, they're probably going to have it disabled for Pokemon mainline game as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Pokemon Bank's for. I think that's pretty obvious why Pokemon Bank exists.
See, the problem with that is that's another subscription you have to pay for.
It is, but it's $5 a year.
So, but what's the difference to paying for? It's like $5 a year for Pokemon Go. Save your cloud backup to Pokemon Go. What's the difference to using that than being able to use Nintendo's cloud save storage?
So you're saying Pokemon Bank instead of the cloud storage for
So
Switch
what
Online?
would be?
Well, because you're going across multiple consoles with the online, but with the Pokebank, you'll be doing it across Switch and 3DS. Yeah. And it's $5 a year. And it can cover any Pokemon you pull from literally any Pokemon game across any means. So cloud backup for Pokemon games is probably not going to matter that much because, one, you would be able to cheat using it and get yourself multiple copies of Pokemon you shouldn't have.
So why is using Pokemon Bank different then?
Because you can upload... Well, you upload your Pokemon to it, it verifies them and does all that niceties, whatever. But the difference between Pokemon Bank and cloud saving, because they're essentially a similar system, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Pokemon Bank is just one big cloud, right? You have to verify your Pokemon before you upload them to it and everything. You have to do all that nicety stuff, right?
The
nicety stuff. But what they are saying in there is... in that statement is effectively true. You could upload a save to your cloud, transfer your Pokemon to someone else, and then just re-download your data again, you'd have all those Pokemon again. So you
Yeah.
would have a literal duplicate of everything.
Yeah.
Right?
I get that. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what Pokemon Bank is for. They make it so that you upload your Pokemon to Pokemon Bank, so you do keep your prized possessions, you don't lose them, and then if you need to restart or whatever, you can. So I know that really doesn't save for the fact from, like, if your Switch breaks down or something like that. But that's just something you're probably going to have to prepare for, I'm afraid. Because obviously...
It's shit.
Well, duplicating and... that's the other thing is duplicating and PK hexing. PK hexing is such a big thing. You know?
Yeah,
you modify your save file, you upload that to the cloud. That's in the cloud, you know? You've just put a save file with a level 99 Pikachu and 999...
yeah, bloody hell.
You know, it'd be too much.
Yeah, well, keep going on with your point, Noel.
Right.
Yeah.
Dark Souls, I'm going to argue, has always had cloud saving issues. It's only just recently, like the first Dark Souls, has only just recently got cloud saving out on Steam. I would imagine that's down to the developer. I can't see that being too much on Nintendo's side when it comes to Dark Souls. I think this is the easiest point to cover because it has a history of it.
But it's got cloud savings on the other platforms.
On Xbox and PlayStation, the remaster.
Yeah.
Again, and that's fine, but we're also getting the game a lot later than they are.
Yeah.
Which means that they've had problems, which is going to be a massive point in my Splatoon argument. So, for whatever reason, you know what? It'll probably get enabled on Dark Souls later. I don't know why it's not enabled on there now, but, you know, it took them years to get Dark Souls 1 to Steam cloud saving, and it's really just backing up a friggin' save data file. It's nothing special. So, you know, I'm going to leave that down to developer laziness, honestly. You know, FromSoft make incredible games, but you've never been very good about your cloud saving. Now, Splatoon 2, this is the big one, and I think this is the one that I'm going to be witch hunted for. I have to argue that Splatoon 2 was a very rush-to-market game, and though it is still an incredible game, it relies on a lot of the basis of what Splatoon 1 was, uses a very similar engine, all that stuff. The way that the save data is saved is it saves all your multiplayer data and all your single-player data in one bang.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest issue, right? Is that... what they said in there is that, you know, people could re-download their data after losing ranks or whatever, and it brings them back. The other issue is that depending on how the cloud saving system works, you could take your save data off your Switch. If you have a hacked Switch, you could maximize your rank, put it back on your Switch, upload that data to the cloud, re-download that data to verify it, and then you would be max rank in Splatoon. Now...
People are doing that anyway, though.
Yeah, I know they're doing that anyway, but it's just like, you know, it's just another means for them to do it, you know, and then it's just like, oh, well, you know, your Switch has been banned, but your account hasn't. They'll just buy a new Switch and they've already hacked their save, and they'll just re-download it from the cloud. They don't care, you know. This is a bigger issue, and this is a counterpoint that I've heard a lot, and it's like that ARMS hasn't been mentioned to not have... cloud save, which it might very well do have cloud save. And they're like, well, how is that any different? They're both competitive. And my argument point to that is that ARMS is 1-on-1. Even if you hack yourself,
it's
you're
4
going
and 4. It's 1 versus 4 too. Like,
what, competitive?
it can be if you want it to.
Well, okay, you don't really have a team that you have to account for in ARMS. It's not the same.
You can do 2-on-2 or 1 versus 3.
Do they have 2-on-2 ranking? I don't even think they do.
I don't know about ranking, but
No. Ranked matches, I'm pretty sure, are 1-on-1 exclusive.
Yeah, okay.
So 1-on-1, it doesn't matter if you hack your save data and you end up in the highest person in the world. You're going to get knocked down because you're not going to be good at the game, right? The issue with doing it in Splatoon is that you have 3 other people on your team you got to account for, and you're dragging them down, and they're losing ranks because of you playing unfair, and that's not cool. Like that's just downright not cool. So my point on that barge is that it's either to prevent that from happening to those 3 players, or it's down to the way that Splatoon 1 is built. It's not built to handle cloud saves.
Yeah, well, obviously not, I guess.
Yeah.
But what my problem is, like, obviously you got Mario, you got Zelda, you can upload it to the cloud, do what you want. It's a single player game, doesn't matter a hell. I can see the problems Pokemon, Splatoon. I can't see the problem Dead Cells would have, to be honest. Obviously you can't do it the way they're doing it. You can't just allow people to willy-nilly put it up and willy-nilly put it down again.
Yeah, yeah.
But they need a different option. They need to allow you to back up your saves somehow. Whether it is allowing you to put it up, but I don't know, work out a way not to put it down again. Like say on the Xbox, every time you go into it when you're connected to the internet, Forza Horizon will say, you know, checking save, and it'll load up your latest save. Then you jump onto the PC and it's just seamless.
Yeah.
They need to figure out something like that. They need two systems to be like, all right, we'll be a bit more lax with single player games. You can do what you want with them. But for maybe a game like Pokemon, a game like obviously Splatoon, they really need to figure it out, because like this save data just being stranded on a Switch, it's, to be honest, in 2018 it's not on.
Look, I think the issue with multiplayer games, and this is coming from a background of playing, you know, Call of Duty and all that shit, and they have their own separate. I know, I get it. Giggle, haha. It's not the same thing.
No, you just said all that shit.
All that shit. Yes, all that shit. So, the way that Call of Duty handled itself for years is it was a completely different executable file. There was a single player executable file and there was a multiplayer executable file.
Yeah.
Now, even to this day, you still have problems with people on the recent CODs hacking their ranks so they're 15th fucking prestige, max level, everything's unlocked, all challenges completed. They're still doing that. And that's because everything... They do have cloud saving for COD, but it's all server-side. So it's all on an Activision server, all your multiplayer data, all that's on an Activision server. It's actually not on their regular cloud saving service.
Yeah.
So Nintendo would have to create a whole separate thing to do the same thing. And even then, they wouldn't be safe.
Yeah.
You could still possibly fucking do that, because as long as they upload their scores to the server, it'll kick their rank back up, and they can just keep doing it over and over again. Yeah. And Splatoon is meant to be their premier push into esports. They hold competitions at E3. Obviously, you've got, you know, competitions heading around for Australia, Oceania, Asia, Japan. They all have theirs. America has their occasional one. You know, they're really trying to push it as an esport, and they can't really risk cheating, bringing the game down, because that's what it did to COD for so many years.
Yeah.
It only takes a very simple tool to just go bam and your max level and everything's done, and that's a load of shit.
But those tools are already out and people are already using them.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, is that even if their Switch gets banned, if their Nintendo account doesn't, for whatever reason, they're still going to have that save uploaded to the cloud. They're still going to be able to use it on another Switch and kill 3 other people's experience. And that's not fair.
Well, they'll kill the other team's experience as well, so yeah.
Oh, well, maybe not, because they'll probably win and get the points, so they won't give a shit.
Yeah.
But, you know, you've got to think about the other people. With ARMS, it's not such a big a deal if you're playing on one-on-one, because that person's going to be throwing themselves in high ranks and getting their ass kicked anyway, so they're going to demote.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. It's just...
It's bullshit, yes. But
like, when my Switch decides to be like, all right, I'm going to die, or hell, even like lose it, like whatever the situation is, you know, Splatoon's gone. It's just gone.
Yeah.
It's just... It's crazy. And I wish they had, like with the 3DS, how the save file is on the actual game card. I have it digitally, so it wouldn't make a difference to me, but at least the save's on like a cartridge, like on the 3DS. It's not on the Switch, so there's no way to move it around. There's no way to...
Yeah, I mean, it's still exploitable even if you do back up the data. It's really annoying, because this is the nature of competitive games. Is that if people have an accessible way to touch that save data, they're going to hack it.
Yeah.
And,
well,
you know,
people do have that, though.
Exactly, and that's what they're doing, yeah. And again, I get that, but...
Because, like, people are going to be doing that thing, doing the cloning with exploiting save files just through hacking their Switch anyway. there's a good side to systems, their firmware being broken open. Like you can make a few cool apps and whatever, but...
Okay, let me run this by you then. Will this make I think this will help what I'm trying to say a lot more. Let's imagine that you see online somebody saying selling Splatoon account for $300 max rank, and it's attached to a single profile. Right? You download that profile and it's got the save data in the cloud save. They didn't hack it at all. It's just somebody selling their account. And they download that save, and that account is now theirs to play Splatoon high ranking on. Because that file's been in the cloud. They can just bring it back down to whatever Switch it's attached to. Right?
Yeah.
Then they've got that rank, and they did it without cheating. They just literally bought the account and then got themselves max rank. And then went into an online match, because people do this. And then they went into an online match, and they're getting their ass kicked. They're letting down their team like the same way a cheater would.
Yeah.
Do you get where I'm coming from?
No, I get what you're coming from.
Exactly.
I 100% get where you're coming from. It's just frustrating that this cloud save isn't going to, back up all your games, especially Pokemon. I know it's can be exploited, but like Pokemon's a game you put you can put hundreds and hundreds of hours into, and not having that backed up.
Okay, but we've lived without it before.
We have.
Exactly. So I know that they're like, oh, we're paying for the cloud saving and all that stuff. I'm like, yes, you know what, we are, but we're also paying half price. And if these benefits hold true, which I'm not sure they're all going to hold true, but if these benefits hold true, then we're getting a hell of a lot as it is. And if they're doing it out of the sake of fairness, I can't contest that, because I've been in multiplayer communities for a very long time, and I know how bad a situation can get. Hackers and cheaters kill games.
Yeah. They
very much single-handedly kill the market, and that's why Epic Games started suing people for cheating in Fortnite. They targeted that 15-year-old kid who was using a cheat on Twitch streams, and they're like, we want like 150 grand out of you.
It's like, it's not going to happen, guys.
It's not going to happen.
Don't have that cash.
Exactly. So, it's that situation, and like his mother made a very big counterpoint and was just like, oh, like I'm an ex-lawyer, so I know the shit I'm talking about. So it never went through with it, but it's come to that point. Like cheaters do, they really hurt the integrity of multiplayer online games. And if you start getting an influx of people that come in with false ranks or cheating and all that stuff, and there's no way to counteract that, they've bought this account, there's no way for Nintendo to shut it down, because all they've done is just downloaded an account and it's saved data.
Nothing they can do. Yeah.
There's nothing they can do. So for the spirit of it, because they can't separate those rankings and upload them to a different server, like again what COD and Activision do, where everybody's data is completely personalized and all that shit. It hurts it. It hurts what they're like. I don't want to say it's a struggle, but they're trying.
Yeah. So for like what's something at least Pokemon or Splatoon could do for the next iteration in the series to sort of counter this, and also allow backups to go up?
Okay, well, I think Pokemon already has that in place, and I've already talked about it, and that's Pokemon Bank. It's the best way to keep your Pokemon in check, and it's the best way to transfer them across games.
So really, Pokemon Bank should be a part of this online service, really?
Well, and it might be in the future. Because the thing is that like it was on the 3DS, obviously. We're not going to be using our 3DSs anymore, and the 3DSs aren't going to be affected by online service. But Let's Go won't use it, because it's not meant for it.
No.
It's not meant for it in the same vein that a mainline Pokemon game is, so we'll have to wait till next year to hear about that. But Pokemon Bank is supposed to be the quintessential place to store all your Pokemon so you can carry them on. So I can't comment too much on it until next year, but Pokemon Bank will be involved. Whether we get it for free with our online services to be said. So we'll see from there. As for Splatoon...
We'll just have to, every time you go online, they'll have to, sync your save data or something, and I guess maybe split it up like that COD, like Activision does.
I would think, I would think that... because I don't think people are going to go out there and going to go buy accounts that have a shit ton of... that are worth a shit ton of money and have a massive rank. I don't think that's going to happen. Like, as much as they think it's going to happen, but for them to implement something into Splatoon 3, you would have to have your save data synced, after every 30 minutes of play, something like that, for that to really keep its mojo. Again, it's down to Splatoon 1, and their very quick push out of Splatoon 2 and keeping its old archaic file save system and not doing anything about it in the early run. I don't think they were expecting as much clamoring as they were for cloud saving. Because
it seems like something they added after, because the initial reveal that you get your NES games and that cloud save wasn't a part of that initial thing.
No.
People asked for it, we got it, but it's obviously not thought through.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's not that it isn't thought through. It's more the fact that some games they aren't made to support it. And if Splatoon had a different system where it separated the online rankings and made you sync them to the cloud constantly, then it would make sense, because then a system would be able to go that changes a regular ban. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, that in itself is still going to cause problems, because you might have a bunch of games where you just win 15 games in a row, and they're just going to be that changes a regular ban, and then you're going to have to write to Nintendo I've banned because
I've been banned for being too good.
The game's exactly. The game's trying to ban me because I'm so good at the Splatoon. But and I see a lot of people saying about the single player data and the 100%, and Metadocs in the Discord also mentioned his 100% Octo expansion data and all that stuff. And look, I feel for you, but because of the archaic file system, they can't separate that data now.
Yeah.
It all has to come as a package, which is why the cloud saving's not happening. It's happening for the competitive side of Splatoon, not the single player side.
Yeah. Considering this online service was meant to be a part of the Switch maybe 6 months after it come out, it's just shocking how sort of undercooked it is.
Look, it sucks, but you know what? I think the reason it's so undercooked is because they tried. It was supposed to be out 6 months after you've just mentioned, and they delayed it longer, obviously. I think Nintendo were is there anything you can do about Splatoon and these games? And they're just not really. Yeah. There's a reason this service was delayed, and I can guarantee it was because of the cloud service. It was not because of anything else.
Yeah. Well, my opinion is still the same. When they said about it, I thought you brought up the points, and I think that's fair enough, but still not having it for select games is still frustrating. It's
still ass garbage, and I'll never argue the point that it sucks, because it does suck. But I'm here. The only thing I'm trying to put out here is that maybe you should think about the fact that it's not supported for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are a lot of competitive players out there who will stand with me in saying that they don't want to lose any of their ranking just because some idiot decided to abuse the system, or anything like that. Yeah. And that's that sucks for them.
Yeah, I hope just in the future, when now this is out there, when Splatoon, presumably Splatoon 3 is being developed now, future Pokemon games, future just online multiplayer games from Nintendo, I hope they just keep this in mind,
and they will
in the back end to just think about it when they actually see. Is Mario Kart's not blocked? That's a similar situation. I know it doesn't affect it as much.
Yeah, it doesn't really have an esports scene or anything though.
No, it's just a number, really. Doesn't
it is just a number ranking. Yeah. People are going to cheat anyway, and it's not really going to matter. And again, Mario Kart is a single player situation where you're racing to be first.
Yeah,
so. It
doesn't matter how good or bad you are, you get stuffed over sometimes regardless.
Exactly, yeah. And if you top it, if you place in the top, what was it, 6, you're still earning points.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's an unfair situation that it had to happen to Splatoon like it is. I don't think they just completely gave up on it as soon as they realized it wouldn't work. I think they tried to make it work, and it just sort of come down to, we tried, it's not going to work, and we're trying to market this as a competitive game, and it can't be a competitive game if people are cheating all the time. And
you can't say they haven't put any effort in, because there's free DLC coming out every other month, So I wouldn't have thought it's just like, oh, nah, that's something we can't be bothered doing.
No,
I'm sure they tried, but it's frustrating nevertheless. But hopefully this means for future games on the Switch or future Nintendo consoles, this will be a thing they think about a bit more, because their competitors have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, and look, I think they will. It's just, I think it's just with over the last generation, people have realized just how much they need cloud saving in their lives and data backup, and Nintendo haven't really caught up with the times on that either. They had physical data backup and all that stuff, but they don't have that anymore, so they need to rely on the cloud.
Well,
which is a very big jump for them, by the way.
It is. Well, 2018, we're finally getting cloud saves, regardless of their functionality.
Yeah,
and I haven't heard anything about that app. Actually, that app will be interesting to see how that turns out.
That app.
Anyway, Bryce, I think anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I just think like if you, okay, I'm going to say something that I said to you earlier about it. If you think boycotting is going to help the situation with Splatoon, please don't think that, because you're just going to be shooting yourself in the foot.
Oh, right, bet voting with your wallet, don't buy it.
Yeah. Look, you can vote with your wallet if you want. But you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot.
I encourage you to vote with your wallet on anything, but if you want to play Splatoon 2 on online multiplayer, they kind of got you by the balls.
Yeah, exactly. Look, if you're angry about not having your Pokemon saves or whatever, or you're not happy about having saves over multiple games that have been announced, and you want to vote with your wallet, you know what? You go right ahead, son. But if you're worried just about Splatoon 2, you're not going to be able to play the damn thing without your thing anyway.
See, that Dead Cells one actually really confuses me too.
Dead Cells, I'm not sure what's going on there.
That's a single-player game where you're just progressing normally. Like, if I don't see the benefit of putting mine up to the cloud save, then
there'll probably be an update to fix that later on.
Yeah, hopefully it's just the bandwidth of the developer couldn't handle it at the time or something.
Well, most of these games can be updated to fit their system anyway. It just so happens that Splatoon's got to think about its multiplayer community too.
Yeah.
And that sucks. You won't change it. You won't change it with a vote with your wallet. It's the way Splatoon's built. So don't let it stop you from getting the online service.
Yeah, just have fun with the game still. Just if you smash your Switch, you're fucked.
Yeah. And if you're good enough at the game and you have to buy another copy and another Switch, you'll climb. It's a hassle, 100% a hassle for sure, but if you're good enough at the game, you'll prove yourself worthy.
It's such slow progression in that game, though.
Oh, you think that's slow progression, my friend? You've not played many competitive games.
I haven't really, no.
No. It's probably one of the faster progressing games I've ever played.
Yeah.
If I'm completely honest.
Yeah, right.
But, especially, anyway, if everything holds through with these so-called leaks and we're getting such a massive discount, there's no reason to not have to Switch online. And if you're foregoing it for just Splatoon, then you're only shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah,
so $30 a year, you get multiple free games from NES and supposedly indie games. That could be cool.
10% off base prices on the Switch.
Yeah,
that in itself is just, it's the reason I would get it, because I know that by the end of the year I would have paid for it anyway.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter.
Yeah, definitely. Alright guys, thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario episode 61. You can find me on Twitter at iDruby. Bryce, where can they find you?
At IVRevan. And
they can find the show at the House of Mario on Twitter. And we are a part of the 8-Bit Collective. 10 podcasts and 22 podcasters coming together to put some cool,
yeah,
we'll go for cool. Some cool podcasts in your ears.
Electric.
All good friends of ours. Go to 8bit.net to check out all those.
Mm-hmm.
And if you enjoy the show, go to iTunes, leave us a review. Or if you don't have an iTunes account, just put it on social media or something. Go, hey, this is a thing.
I love my reviewables.
Reviewables.
I like looking at my reviewables.
A few friends, I said, because I had soccer presentations this weekend, and I said, I'll buy you I said it in our soccer group chat. I said, I'll buy you a beer if you leave us a review on our iTunes. And guess what? There was one person who came over to my house and he said, I'm out of beer. All right, I'll leave you a review so you can shout me a beer. And he could not get it to work.
No.
Because he was using an Android phone, and my God, I even looked. I couldn't. There was no leave a review section. iTunes, why are you so freaking complicated? It's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah.
Oh, he didn't get his beer.
He didn't. All right, so this week's Nintendo Jukebox is by Boloid, and it is Zelda Skyward Sword Romance in the Air. It's a remix of
Bolide remix. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. Sort of romance in the air.
Yes.
Bolide remix.
All right, guys, enjoy the song, and thank you very much for listening to this episode, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye.